Supping, suppet, guys, TR here from Gluten Free Crumbly, and I wanted to wish you guys a happy Wednesday. It is June 3rd, 2015, and here's the things on today's vlog. First topic of the vlog is my really cool, super technical intro, which is really just a blue background with text. I need some help drastically with making a better video blog intro. So if you are watching and you have done it before, I would love to hear tips, or I would love to work with you in order to come up with a really awesome vlog intro. Until then, it's probably going to be the kind of sort of lame blue background with white text. Sorry, promise I'm working on it. Why can't I say the word? Second, yes. The second item of today's vlog is that it is Food Tip Wednesday, for the FTW for short. Those of you who get the humor in that, thank you, love you. Awesome. Every Wednesday I share food tips based on your recommendations and requests, and one term that I've thrown around for years now since I've been gluten-free is the term cross-contamination. So today's Food Tip Wednesday on the blog and the vlog is what is cross-contamination, what does it mean, and how does it impact you, especially if you're gluten-free or celiac? Or if you have a friend and you're having them over, how do you best prepare food for them with cross-contamination in mind? So, what is cross-contamination? Cross-contamination is when you prepare a gluten-free or dairy-free or nut-free food in the same kitchen area as, where you would make a gluten-filled or a nut-filled or a dairy-filled food product, and when the same preparation space is used, you run the risk of that allergen or gluten making its way into the food you're trying to make allergen-free or gluten-free, and it can lead to either people having allergic reactions or having a gluten reaction. Pretty much what happens is if somebody with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity eats a cross-contaminated food, if it has enough of a percentage of the contamination in it, it's like they're pretty much eating straight gluten, and they'll end up having the symptoms that they would have had normally. So it's something that it sounds super scary, but with the right preparation can be totally avoided and totally safe. Number one tip, which normally comes across with friends, with family, whenever I'm going somewhere where they don't have as much experience with gluten as I do, is communication. Always make sure that you are communicating with either the host that you're traveling to, whether it be for a holiday, a cookout. The easiest way of trying to avoid gluten cross-contamination is by talking to them and finding out, what they're comfortable with, what they need, and really trying to cater to who you're hosting and their needs. Communication is great, but there are a few other tips I can give you in order to help minimize cross-contamination risks. First is any surface that has been used for preparing gluten food, whether it be a counter, board. What I normally do is, or what I normally recommend is, I recommend that you use either parchment paper or a plastic wrap to cover the surface in order to minimize some of the contact with a previously glutened surface. The other thing is that if somebody has just been cooking glutinous foods in the kitchen, you want to wait a little bit because dust particles in the air could be floating around and could end up landing on the food that you're preparing as gluten-free. This is when you really wouldn't trust restaurants that make regular pizzas but also serve gluten-free pizzas. That's one of the cases, along with the utensils and cooking surfaces, that really won't make it a truly gluten-free pizza. The ingredients maybe, but there'll be cross-contamination where it really won't be a truly gluten-free pizza. Another tip, any of the cutlery, spoons, spatulas, pots, pans that you use with gluten products, you'll want to really thoroughly cleanse them before using any kind of gluten-free food on them. If you are cooking for a mixed house where some of the people have to be gluten-free and some aren't, I actually recommend that you have a separate set of utensils and tools that are clearly marked as gluten-free, and to keep them separate from the glutinous tools. It'll really cut down on the potential for cross-contamination. It's a little bit of a safer way of cooking. The other thing is grills and barbecues. Now, a couple weeks back, I did a Food Tip Wednesday about how to go about grilling gluten-free, and I will include the link to that somewhere on here right now. Go there. I have a lot of great tips for grilling gluten-free, so you can check them out on that post. The last thing that I will really give a tip for is jars like peanut butter or jelly or any kind of condiment where you stick a spoon or a knife into to spread onto something else, is that these can also get really cross-contaminated really easily. Say you take a regular piece of toast and you scoop your why would you use a fork to scoop your knife into the jelly jar and then spread onto the bread, and let's say, oh no, I need more jelly. When you dip it back in, some of those breadcrumbs are going to get into the jelly. So if I come back later with a gluten-free bread and try to do the same thing, I'll be spreading gluten crumbs onto the bread. Now, that sounds really scary. Another case where separation makes life easier. If you are going to have a shared household, or you're going to have people over and you're using things like mayo or peanut butter or jelly, just have two separate jars and have one clearly marked as gluten and one as non-gluten. On to topic number 3, the continuation of the Food Bloggers Vlog Every Day in June challenge. I got that right this time, the first try, and I am super proud of myself. So, like I said before, I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to join in on Christy's event this month. It's been super fun. I've been slowly getting a little bit more comfortable with speaking in front of the camera. I lost that for a little bit while I wasn't vlogging, and now it's slowly coming back to me. I hope that I'm more comfortable. We're going to go on to question number 3, which is, who taught you how to cook, and tell you guys a little bit more about them. I kind of had a mix of people teach me how to cook directly in the house. So my mom, when she was a full-time mom, after I got into about middle school age range and my siblings were younger, she decided to start doing a part-time, self-motivated part-time job where she would make cakes for us, for neighbors, for the network of friends that we all had. And she would spend this really wonderful amount of time making these really beautiful cakes that were, kid-themed, family-themed, and I really loved helping her out in the process of watching her doing it, helping her with doing some of the piping. So that was really my inspiration for some of the entrepreneurial side of cooking that I now do via the vlog and the blog for the past 6 years. Another person that taught me how to cook was my dad. He is of Italian roots, and he loves to experiment. He loves to play with food, and I really feel like my experimentation with creating recipes came from that. While the true matriarch of my extended family was my grandmother, who, rest her soul. I, loved her, adored her to death, and she was, when it came to Thanksgivings and Christmases, it was her show. She ran it. She took pride in making something that was glorious and amazing, and she always had these wide range of cookbooks that were from the family and that she had accumulated over the years, that I really got some of my passion for cooking from. Well, not some of my passion. I got a vast majority of my passion for cooking through helping her out in the kitchen when she allowed it, and really watching her take so much pleasure and so much joy in creating a beautiful giant meal for the entire family, where you could really get a feeling of the amount of love that she put into the food. And that is where where I get my passion for food. I feel like with food you should, express your love for all of your friends and family through food. It's a wonderful channel of doing it, and it's really the core of why I love making food and why I love blogging about it, is to share my experiences and share my love with all of you. And so now that I rambled on a bit, I hope you guys enjoyed today's vlog. I will be on again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.